Turning our attention now to politics, millions of Americans tuned in for President Joe Biden's second State of the Union address. During his speech, he talked about everything from the economy to issues abroad.
Let's get right to Fox 5's Robert Moses. He joins us now with some of the main takeaways. And Robert, he was also heckled and booed during his speech.
He sure was. Tashani and Dan, good morning to you. This speech was heavy on domestic issues, light on foreign policy. In this era of divided government, as you will see, and yes, hear, the House chamber was divided all right.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
Over 73 minutes, some of them raucous, President Joe Biden appealed to Republicans to work with him on any number of issues, including the economy.
Let's finish the job.
The president used that phrase a dozen times. Along with Vice President Kamala Harris, the new House Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, who won the title after 15 ballots, sat behind him.
Speaker, I don't want to ruin your reputation, but I look forward to working with you.
Chuckles aside, the divide between Democrats and Republicans was on full display all night long.
Today, though bruised, our democracy remains unbowed and unbroken.
While Democrats stood and applauded, McCarthy and his fellow Republicans sat stone-faced. These days, even at a formal event like the State of the Union address, partisanship is not a spectator sport. When the president suggested that some Republicans plan to cut Social Security and Medicare in the debt ceiling showdown, Marjorie Taylor Greene, a conspiracy theorist, called the president a liar.
Well, I'm glad to see you. No, I tell you, I enjoy conversion.
Apparently convinced of their commitment, President Biden promised to hold Republicans to it.
So, folks, as we all apparently agree, Social Security and Medicare is off the books now, right? They're not to be spent. All right. I'm ready. We got unanimity.
The partisan rancor was not done. After introducing a father in the audience who lost his daughter to a fentanyl overdose, some Republicans blamed the president for a porous border. The parents of Tyree Nichols also attended the speech. The president used their attendance to call on lawmakers to enact police reform.
Do something. Do something.
President Biden made a brief reference to the weekend downing of a Chinese spy balloon that spent a week traversing part of the continental U.S.
As we made clear last week, if China threatens our sovereignty, we will act to protect our country.
Republicans accused him of acting too late. In a blistering GOP response, Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders criticized him for his handling of China, the border, and inflation.
He is simply unfit to serve as commander-in-chief. And while you reap the consequences of their failures, the Biden administration seems more interested in woke fantasies than the hard reality Americans face every day.
And as if that weren't enough, there was some drama before the speech. You can see this interaction just behind us between embattled New York Congressman George Santos and fellow Republican and former presidential nominee Senator Mitt Romney. Romney can be seen repeatedly telling Santos that he should be, quote, embarrassed. Santos was also criticized for positioning himself right on the aisle as the president walked in. President Biden, however, did not shake his hand. Tashani.
Robert, thank you.